Today's Reading for Life project, hosted by me, Kat Williams, and organised by Children Today. So just to quickly introduce myself, my name is Kat Williams and I run a company called Building Your Confidence. So I'm so interested in this project that we've put together, all about storytelling, and really importantly about the stories we tell ourselves in our own heads as well, which is how I help people with their feelings and their confidence. And I want to tell you a really quick story about the charity that's put this together. So they're called Children Today. And about 30 years ago, a dad called Hugh had two children. He lived by the seaside, and his two children, they were 9 and 5, he noticed that they could ride bikes and they could run, but that not all the children around them could do the same. So he founded a charity about supporting with physical disabilities and having accessible trikes and bikes and things like that. And all of these stories, if you've joined us before, are also about anyone that might have a disability or a diversity or might be struggling in any way with some difficult feelings. So I'm going to hand over straight away to our amazing author today, who's here with us, called Anne. And Anne, welcome. Would you like to introduce yourself to us all and what brings you here and all about you?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. First of all, thank you for having me again. I love joining this charity. I'm Anne Alcott. I write and illustrate children's books. I'm a mum of 2 boys with extra needs, and I'm originally from Germany. I live in the Netherlands, and I write my books in English, which makes sense, of course. And I just published my 4th book. It's just called This Book is Overwhelmed. Which is an interactive story and focuses to help ease sensory overload. I like to write books that help without being preachy. So I'm very excited to share this new story with you.
That's amazing. And the bit I often forget, the kind of housekeeping bit, we've got a chat open. So we would love any questions to be popping in as Anne is going to read to us and introduce this amazing book to us. But we have got cameras and microphones off, but we really want to hear some questions towards the end. So I just wanted to make sure I have said that. So how do you want to take us forward, Anne, into this amazing book you're sharing with us today?
That's a good question. This is the first time I'm doing this online with this book. As I said, it's an interactive story. So please imagine you're with me in the room, and you're very welcome. I will ask some questions. You're very welcome to write them inside the chat while we're doing so. And yeah, I don't know if there is anything else you need to know. I'm very prepared today, as you can tell.
Well, I know you've done this live this week, haven't you? So you've had the experience
Yes.
of kind of being right in the room, and then now it is off the different experience of an interactive book, but we can't fully interact. So we are more than happy to be slight guinea pigs a little bit today, maybe.
But as I said, you can write inside the chat. And yeah, so I wrote this book. This is called This Book is Overwhelmed. Because I like to play a few little games with my kids before they go to sleep, because their brains are often very, very busy. I was telling Kat before we came on that I had a background in theatre. A few of these things are based on improv theatre games, and they help my children to regulate, to calm down, to ease their minds before going to sleep. And I thought this would be a great thing to share with you guys. So actually, This Book is Overwhelmed is, in this book, the main character is the book itself. We are helping this guy to feel better, and sneakily we might learn a way or two how to calm ourselves as well. Yeah, so if you're ready, I would start the reading.
Yes, we're very ready. Can't wait.
Okay. Oh, I have the screen share. See, I totally forgot that. I'm going to share with you the book as well. Okay, here we go. Can you see it?
Yes, I can see it. Yes.
Fantastic. Okay. So, hey, kiddo, it's me. The book, as in the book you're holding, your bookish pal, your bookie, your bookaroo. I'm sure you find a better name for me. Anyway, I have been feeling a lot lately. A lot. so much, all the things. And just for scale, there's a random windmill from the Netherlands, as you can see. Here's a Big Ben, you know, the Eiffel Tower, and just a comparison, the mountains of my feelings. There's a lot of feelings. It is getting really, really hard to focus around here. We all know how that feels. Just the other day, I did some very important things, like counting my paper clips or other serious stuff when banana. That's usually when the group of children laughs.
Banana. Okay.
Banana. See, I cannot even finish a sentence. Beep, bop, brr, ah. I am exhausted. I feel this page very much.
Poor book. Oh, poor Buckaroo.
Poor Buckaroo. But I have an idea. Let's start by getting rid of all that scribbly mess. Thank you so much, Mrs. Illustrator. Wait, that's me. Thanks, Mark. This is my busy dial. 1 means calm, 10 is excited and hectic and restless. So now imagine you're putting your finger on the screen and you put your finger on number 10 and you slide it down all the way to 1. Okay, we're going to slide together. Slide. And you think anything happened? Oh, this is so much calmer, so much better. By the way, how do you guys feel about hugs?
Yay.
Very divisive. So I love them. Hugs make me feel calm and safe and happy and warm. In fact, the reader is giving me a hug right now. Oh, wait. I have to give the book a good hug. Who doesn't love a good hug? I love a good hug, especially when my brain feels on fire. And because you are smart kids, you know fire plus book equals bad. Oh no. Wow, the illustrator's flame caught my pages. Someone should fire her.
Oh no!
Wait, it's me again.
No!
It is spreading. You guys have to blow it out for me. But this is a special bookish fire which needs experts. And I hope we have some experts present. We have to take a deep breath in, hold it for 3 seconds, and then gently blow. Okay, I think it's working. And now everyone together. Deep breath in, hold it for 3, 2, 1, and blow. Phew. Thanks to you, my pages survived. Barely. That was way too exciting for little old me. But let's play a game I call 3 Things to Calm My Pages. So everyone is listening. You have to close your eyes, okay? Not the reader, obviously. And if your eyes are closed, then you can tell me 3 things that you can hear. For example, my pages rustling, outside noises. So what can you hear? Can you guys tell me 3 things?
I can hear a bin lorry because it's bin day. And I can hear some birds singing.
Okay. I actually also can hear a bin lorry. I'm picking up a bins here as well. What else can I hear? I hear door slamming. And I hear my cat meowing downstairs. I think he's hungry. There you go. These are 3 things that we can hear. Now, can you tell me 3 things that you can feel in your body? For example, the rise and fall of your chest or your toes wriggle. What can you feel?
Yes, I can feel my feet in my shoes. Feel my breakfast that I had this morning in my tummy. Which is good that I'm not rumbling.
I can feel the softness of the chair under me. I can feel the book in my hands. There you go.
Yeah.
Lovely. Thank you for sharing. Just because I'm a book, that doesn't mean that I can't play too. For example, I can feel the reader holding my pages, and I can feel the reader tickling me right here is a little tickle spot. And
Oh,
I can feel you guys giving me a high five. Can you high five the book on the laptop or on the camera? Can you do it? Don't leave me hanging. Good job. Okay, fantastic. How about a good stretch? Oh. So now we actually have to turn the book. Anyway, we have to, let's stretch. So we have to reach our fingers and hands and arms all the way as high as we can go. Big, good stretch. There we go. And now we reach over our head to the left and all the way to the right. Kat, I'm watching you. You have to join.
I was caught. Yeah.
Give
I
it
was
a
like,
good.
oh wait, I'm not joining it.
Give it a good stretch. So I'm feeling so much better already. Thanks, pal. Now you can choose. How do you feel right now? Do you feel sad? Okay, fine, happy, or fantastic? And if you want, if you have me at home, you can put me in a spot where I can see my best friend. P.S. It's you. And by the
Oh.
way, if you decided a name for me, then you can put it inside the book. If you ever feel like your pages or your brain feel all antsy and it's hard to focus, you can pick me up and read me again. And at the very end, there's a little code, which is very safe. I'm not making you sign up to any subscription. You can scan the code. There will be a music player, and you can choose a song or a sound that makes you feel calm. There are bird sounds and there are wave sounds. And then you can go through the book again and count little hidden bookworms I may have hidden inside the book and see how many you can find.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yes. Thank you. That
I know.
was the book.
I love it. I hope
Thank
some people
you.
can put in the chat whether they joined
Oh,
in,
fantastic.
whether they liked it. If anyone can use the chat, I'm not sure if people have full access to it on their devices, but hopefully some comments and questions might come in. But I absolutely loved it. I joined
Thank
in.
you.
Oh yeah, we've got a good morning. Fantastic.
Good
So
morning.
we'd love to know from the
Yes.
class commented whether they joined in, what they liked about the book. And I definitely feel oh yeah, if I've liked the book and joined in, fantastic.
Oh,
Thank
wonderful.
you.
Thank
I definitely
you.
feel uplifted when you started with the scale at the start, or you said,
Yeah.
and then we kind of did some stretching and some uplifting things. And definitely I know of lots of well, adults as well and children that could love to have a book like that. And I've got lots of questions, but I want to make sure that obviously our watchers come in. But a question I had straight away, because we can't hold the book, it looked like the book was jumping out of the pages. But is that, you obviously drew it like that, and then is that photographs of your drawing? Because it, you know, we could see the kind of the wool of the arms and the legs. And I was like, almost like, is that real? Can we touch that?
It almost feels like it's real. So what I've done is one of my favorite pages. I've actually, and I have him somewhere, I think, but my kids have taken him away. I crafted this little guy out of paper and pipe cleaners, and I put him on my kitchen table, and I made lots of photos and different with different movements. And then afterwards, I drew on the face, his facial expressions, and I drew all the way around. Also, all the letters in this book are all drawn by hand. It took a while. But yes, so he's photographed in these positions, and then I just drew on top.
Oh, yeah, amazing.
It was very fun.
And I wanted to say to year 5, so year 5 have said we enjoyed the stretching and the high fives, and the class say banana.
Banana! That is usually
something you say a lot in your house, like just a random.
I don't know. It's just one of these random things, you know. You're very focused on something, and then your brain goes, banana.
Oh, amazing. And we have, I think, a second year 5 maybe, and they're all thinking about maybe they want to make their own books, and also someone would like a reminder of the book name.
Yes.
So maybe a reminder.
So of course it's mirrored now, but this book is called "This Book is Overwhelmed." I hope you can remember that.
And how did you get the idea? I've got some questions here to ask, and hope so. How did you get the idea for that title, The Book is Overwhelmed? When did that come to you, and why?
I think I don't know if there's a title. I think it was a placeholder title until I realized it really fits. It's just that I feel I have a lot of moments where I feel overwhelmed in the day, and then it's good to remind myself to go back into my body, think about things I can hear, things I can feel. Maybe I need a good stretch, maybe sometimes I need a good laugh, but it helps to get outside my head and inside my body. And so I feel like, well, I feel a lot of times overwhelmed. Maybe it's good if the book feels the same and we can share his experience. And I really enjoyed making it interactive. There are a few books I have next to me that are some of my favorite books. I think people probably know this book. It's called Do Not Open This Book. And I think lots of people know this one, this book with no pictures. And then I have this book that did not want to be read. And my kids really enjoy these books because they break the fourth wall, they make the reader interact with it. And it is really hard to, as an author, to be there and to help the children in a way. But I hope that's giving you or making you a book friend that goes through it with you kind of, helps step into the space, if that makes sense. It's a lot of complicated words. Sorry.
Love that. And we've got class 5 saying how inspirational it is to make some similar books. So I love that you showed those other ones. And I think, well, straight away, what captivated me is like to call the book a name. You're like Bookaroo and Bookster or whatever. And then at the end, that came back to say, like, would you name this book? So I think that's the first time I'd really thought about the book having, its own sort of character and personality and name, and that even though we can read the same book, we're actually never reading the same book because we're each a different person and we're reading the book at a different time. So it's almost like, the book has a personality, doesn't it, depending on where we're at.
So when I was little, I was a huge reader. I am still a huge reader, and books were my best friends, and I wanted to make a book that can be your book bestie, so to say. And I actually have more books planned in this series. It will be the same book. So the same character, whatever you want to name him. And all the others will also be interactive. So I'm very excited to share.
That's so exciting. We have a question from, I think, the Year 5 class. What made you want to become an author is the first question they have. You're an illustrator, aren't you? So yeah, tell us about author and an illustrator.
My kids, basically, I always enjoyed children's books massively, and I like to illustrate. I like to doodle around and make pictures. And the first book I've published, I have here, it's called When Things Get Too Loud. And I wrote this book for my eldest, Jamie, who has a little bit of extra needs and struggles with sensory overwhelm. So when everything gets too loud and too much, and I wanted to show him that it's okay to feel that way. I wanted to give him a tool how to feel better, and also for an explanation for other people. I like to write books for kids with extra needs because I think there needs to be more literature out there, and people need to understand that it's completely fine to feel certain ways. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you've really inspired the children. So they're asking, how many pages would you say is good for a children's book? I mean, obviously that might be a tricky answer, but what do you think?
No. It depends on the age group. So when we're thinking small children, toddlers, I think a general picture book is about 12 to maximum 24 pages. And then when we're coming into a little bit older children, between 4 and 8, they tend to be between 36 and 42 pages. They always need to be double because this is how the printer works. It prints 2 pages at the same time. So between 36 and 42 pages is typically a children's book, and then you go to middle grade, and those can be up to 50,000 words, which is about 250 pages. So you go up quite quickly.
Oh, so inspirational. There we go. The children listening are like, oh, you could start with just a few pages, and you could really grow, couldn't you? And we have a question here of how did you actually, in capital letters, actually become an author? What's the process? Because it's it's sort of, I feel that question as being like, you know, how does that kind of happen? You could imagine it, but how do you actually get there?
Yeah, it's not like I woke up and someone gave me an award and says, you are now an author. Or like the permission to do so. I actually became an author, I guess, when I published my first book. And I did that all by myself. So I do the writing and the illustrations, the publishing, the editing, everything at the moment on my own. And I'm a very stubborn person. And once I have an idea, I don't want to waste my own time. So I see things to the end. And what actually helped me is YouTube. Funny enough, most of the things I've learned over watching YouTube videos, because there are so many things that you can learn for free on the internet if you do it safely and wisely. Anything from how to illustrate on an iPad to how to upload a manuscript, or where do you even start with the children's book idea? All of those questions you can usually find on YouTube. So thanks, YouTube.
Amazing. And are you on YouTube at all? I'm just wondering, have you read your books on YouTube? No, I just came. Maybe there's some inspiration from this call, because then we could watch you read it again. Anyway, that would be the children could find you one day maybe on there.
Some of my other books have been read on YouTube by some actors for charity and things like that. So you will find my name on YouTube, but not my face.
Okay. Oh, well, that's fab. And what came first as a question? Was it, I mean, maybe specifically for this book or any other book, is it the illustrations or the words? And how do you come up with the ideas?
So you see, I find it really hard because often you're either an illustrator or you're an author or you're a writer. And then you find your publisher, or you find yourself someone, if you're a writer, you find yourself an illustrator that works with you. And for me, I don't understand how people can do this. For me, this process goes very much hand in hand. I have an idea of the concept of the book first. And if I write in rhyme, a little bit of the rhythm and the some of the rhyming words, and then I start doodling next to it. So it's very much a symbiosis of words and pictures at the same time. Yeah, I don't know. So for me, I can't separate it. Yeah,
that's amazing. And we have a final question here of, do you enjoy being author? Do you find it calming? Which I think is a lovely question.
Yes.
Maybe not always.
I love drawing silly things. So for me to be able to draw my silly things and share them with people is really, really fun. I love telling stories, and I'm so grateful that people want to hear my stories. I think that's really great. And yeah, I think my favorite thing to do is I put on an audiobook and I sketch. I have this tiny little sketchbook here that is full of my sketches for future projects, or here's the concept of my very first book. I just love to sit and doodle and get inspiration from the children around me. And I love to do readings. Being connected to the kids and meeting everyone is wonderful.
Fabulous. And a student would like to know, how do you start thinking about getting your work published?
That is a big question. That is a very technical question. There are typically 2 ways to get your books published. One is to do it by yourself, as I did. You learn by doing, and you make a lot of mistakes. It took me a lot of time with my first book to get there. and you just do it all yourself. And the other way is to get an agent and to get a publisher at a publishing house, and that typically takes a long time. But a lot of people have published books. There are a lot of really fantastic books that have been written but have not been published because people are too afraid to share their things. So I think a really good first step is to make a concept of a book and share it with your friends and family and see what they say. I think it's so good to share your creativity and go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's just coming to my mind of when you say do it yourself. I mean, my thoughts are, so if you would agree that if the children are inspired by what you've done here, that can literally mean, you know, your own. I've seen books from other authors where they just tied it together with string, you know, it's pieces of paper and there's their colours and everything. And then it could be that could then get photocopied, and then you could print more of those, or it could be then it's like a PDF, isn't it, that the children might know about that you can share with your family, like you say. And then there will be local printers around that you could make a few copies. And I know that I've published a book myself, and what that meant for me was kind of Googling, probably kind of, you know, self-publishing help. And I worked with a self-publishing sort of organization. So just to explain, those are the kind of layers, aren't they? And then there's the more the books that are on the shelves in the school might have a little penguin on them, and that's penguin publishing, or there might be different. So that's what we're sort of explaining, isn't it? It's lots of different ways of seeing that book right there, but you can really do
my book starts out, and I don't have it here right now, but my books typically start out as a bunch of papers stuck together, handwritten what I want to be on the page, and a really rough sketch, and then I have a look at the end if I like the flow of the little paperclip book, and then I show it to my kids and then see if they have any feedback, and then I go into actually producing it on the computer. So there's a lot of handcrafting and trial and error up front. Yeah, it doesn't have to be such a daunting. I think a lot of people think it's a very big, daunting thing to publish a book, but I think anyone can do it. You can do it.
Yes, I've got a book right here. It seems that Year 5 are very inspired, and there's there's a book called Adventures of Gabriel that was written by a 10-year-old with his mum.
Fantastic.
Right here, but I'll stay on screen for now. But it's a real thing, you know, that lots of children these days want to just see those stories, get their stories out there, and it's really, really important. So well done to all the students watching that feel inspired. Absolutely. So I have another question in. How many books have you written?
This is written or published? That is a very different question.
Well, it says written.
I have published 4, and I have written maybe 10. So I also write books for adults, but under a different name. I've written 3 novels, and then I'm writing children's books that are waited to be illustrated, or I have concepts of half of written books and half illustrated books. So there's a lot of work in progress in this little office, but I think around 10-ish. Yes.
Amazing. They've written 10. And we have a question. What do you think is a good age to publish a book?
Any age, absolutely any age, especially my first books. I couldn't have done without my children. They helped me so much come up with the concepts and with the flow of the book. And any age, as I said, you can start drawing by hand and making copies and clip them together and show them to your family. No one is too young to start writing or dreaming of writing and creating stories. Absolutely, any age.
And that's amazing, because I did just snip off screen and grab The Adventures of Gabriel. I don't know if I can see that.
Wow, yes.
Written by 10-year-old Gabriel and his mum. So absolutely any age. That's The Adventures of Gabriel.
I think we missed a couple of questions from Victoria right up there.
Yes.
So how long did it take you to finish the book as Overwhelmed?
Yes.
This book took me.
And how old were you as well when you published your first book? That's there as well.
Okay, now I have to think. I think I was 30. I started relatively late compared to lots of other people that say I have been writing and illustrating since I was a child. I haven't. I had the idea that year, and then I started to do it. And the end of the year, I had a book. This book took me 4 to 6 months of work. It took quite a lot of work because I said a lot of the words all the letters are hand illustrated. So that took a long time, and I really enjoyed doing the mixed media. The longest book was the first book for me because I had to figure out how everything works. That took me about a year. Yeah.
And I love this question as well. Do you ever change any of your ideas while you were writing?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Any book starts out as a mountain of ideas, and then you have to sort through them and figure, what is the story I want to tell? What is the heart of the book? And what of these ideas will help me get there? And all the other things you can write down and put in your drawer and put away for later. And you have to sort through and edit through your ideas and your inspirations and see, okay, what helps this book grow? What of the inspirations can I have? So I have a lot of ideas, and sometimes they change. Sometimes I had a completely different concept in mind, but halfway through the story, I realized, no, it's much better if I do it this way, for example.
Yeah. So it's almost like those books are alive, isn't it? Like the book is overwhelmed. They take on that journey themselves and say, no, I think I'm going to go this direction.
I think during the writing process, the story will tell you how it wants to be written. I think there is a sense of the story already somehow exists in the universe, and you are the one to get to write it. And it will, if you just have to listen to your intuition, you will get there.
I love that. And I think there's a lot of inspired authors on this call today. So I think that's an amazing message of kind of just start writing and see where the writing and the story takes you, because it probably takes you somewhere you never expected when you began.
I just wanted to share a story I got from, because you're asking, when are you old enough to write a book, or when should you start? When I published this one 2 months ago, I got a little book made from one of my readers, from a little boy, 7, and he made a book which was called This Book Found a Book Friend. And he made a book inspired by this one, and he drew every single page, and then his book and my book were meeting in his little story, and he shared it with me, and it was so wonderful. So inspiration can be anywhere, and you can start to write books. Yeah,
that's amazing. It's like, imagine
so
if
wonderful.
There's some lovely questions here that I'm going to ask you now about your favorite books and things like that. But what I've just heard there is, like, imagine if the books had their own favorite books and they like made friends with each other. I love that,
right?
idea.
I love that. This is why
I think these are my book friends. That's amazing.
Yes, this book loves to be on your bookshelf, because then he feels close to his best friends. And yes, I love that.
That's lovely. So there's 2 questions here. What's your favorite ever book, and what's the favorite book that you have written?
My favorite ever book has to be The Never Ending Story from Michael Ende. I'm German originally, and it's a German author who wrote the story, and it's very different from the movie. If you ever want to read the book, I highly recommend it. It is written in green and red ink, depending if you're inside the book or if you're outside the book. And it's so inspirational. I even got a tiny little souvenir. It is from the inside of the book cover. It is covered in unicorns. So I got this one from The Never Ending Story on my arm, because it's my favorite book ever. And what is your favorite book that you've ever written? I don't know. I think the other books should probably not listen now. I think because I enjoy the process of doing mixed media so much, and I have already 3 other books in this series planned. The next one will be called This Book Feels a Bit Blue. So if you feel sad and you have certain emotions and you don't know why, and it's okay to sit with them for a while, and they will go over. So I'm working on that. Then This Book Can't Sleep, and this book needs to get its wriggles out. So we're having a whole series of these books planned, and I'm super excited to go back into making them.
Oh, and I can feel the excitement of the books that are going to be birthed. They're like, hey, we're ready to come out into the world and live. That's so exciting. We've got a lot of, so I think I don't know if more coming in, but it says a child in year 5 has just said she loved the book and you're a great inspiration. Isn't that lovely?
That is
That's
so
amazing.
wonderful. You see, that's my favorite part of writing books, is to get to chat to children and to hear their feedback. I love that. Thank you so much.
Yes. Well, and I think that's what's so lovely about, what we're all doing here. It's that I see it as passing on like the sort of ideas, the enthusiasm, the creativity, because we want everyone to tell us their own version of a story, their story, an imaginative story, any story, because it's just lovely. These stories and books want to take on a life of their own, don't they? And speak to people. And
Exactly. Yeah. And I see there's another question we have missed earlier. How long have you been coming up with stories for?
Yeah.
Or as long as I can think. I think I've never set out to be an author illustrator. I didn't grow up and said, this is what I want to do. But they never left me alone. So at some point I gave in. But I wrote, I remember writing little stories and poems when I was 9 or 10. I think I started. I had a little notebook and I just wrote of summer adventures with my friends and poems about the fall. And I think from a very young age, I just loved the written word. Yeah. So
I love how you put that the stories sort of just wouldn't leave you alone. They were like, we need you to tell them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's almost you didn't choose it, they chose you.
They chose me. They won't leave me alone. So I said, okay, fine. Do you
There's
like,
a question. Yeah, comics. Yeah.
do you like read comics at all? Actually, I do because I really enjoy the artwork and graphic novels. Possibly a lot of you guys know Dogman and Captain Underpants. That is hugely popular in my house. I love to read them with my children. I am a big, it's probably too old for you guys, but I'm a big Buffy fan. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. There's a lot of really fantastic graphic novels out there. Yeah, I do love comic books. I have a lot of them downstairs. I can't think of most of them right now, but I love the artwork. I think graphic novels are especially wonderful for children who have a hard time with a lot of text. And because you can see what's happening, you are immersed in the world, you can see the beautiful artistry of the illustrator, and the text is usually quite small, and you still get to live and move forward in the story. So absolutely. Yes, love graphic novels.
You can see Dogman fans. I've not heard of that. But
you have not heard of Dogman?
I know, sorry.
We have all of them at home. They're absolutely hilarious. You need to find them.
I need to find them.
Yes.
I've missed that clearly.
And I think, there's so many great. Anyway, yes, good job, guys, Dogman fans. Me too.
The last question is the one just above that, isn't it? Any wordy books that you've written?
I was just talking before we went into this call to do a workbook, which is geared towards more of the parents and teachers to combine improv games, more of in a workshop setting for children who need to work on their confidence or a little bit have social anxiety. So there will be a wordier book, but I do write books for adults as well, but under a different name. So yes, I think the longest book I've ever written was 130,000 words, and that is about 500 pages. So yes, I've written many words in my life.
Wow, that's incredible. So I think we've answered everyone's questions in the chat. I think we have a couple of more minutes. If there are any burning questions still to come in, that's absolutely fine. But I think I've been so impressed by the number of questions coming in. I think they've been amazing.
It. Thank you guys so much.
I guess, do you think there's anything anyone hasn't asked, Anne, that you wanted to tell us? I think we've covered such a lot.
Yeah, I'm really excited to share the future books of This Book is Overwhelmed. There will be some interactive stories where words have fallen out and you need to come up with them by yourself. There'll be little finger races you have to do. The book will transform into a steering wheel. I'm really excited to get to share that. And I hope, if you love the book, go tell your parents. And maybe find me online. You can find me also on Instagram and the Tiny Horse Books, that is my publishing company, and see all the other books I have written.
Yes, and I'd love to say to any of the students that we'd love to see your books. Either, send a photograph by email to Children Today and they'll share them with us, or as Anne said, I'm on Instagram as well, and so is Anne. So, but that'll probably be when you're a little older. But yeah.
Any questions you guys have, you can ask your parents to get in contact with me. I'll answer them happily. And if you have a drawing of your own books, I'll share them as well. I'm really excited to receive those.
So I just ask one sort of final question on these calls, which is just if anyone felt that they didn't have the confidence to kind of go for what they really care about, what would you say, whether that was being an author or anything else? What would be your thoughts?
I think that you have to let yourself fail, which is funny enough is also an improv rule. Failing is part of life, and if you would know everything from the start, there would be no point out and going to learn new things. I think that letting yourself fail and knowing it's part of the progress is really, really important. If you ever want to start writing a story or have a project in mind, remember, to work and change things into a better thing, it needs to exist first. So go out and make something, and you can file it into or you can shape it into what you want it to be later on, if that makes sense. But you have to create something, it has to exist, and then you can work on it later on. I feel like I'm not having the right words today.
No, I think that's a perfect answer. Okay. What I'm hearing in that is, like you say, I always say this to anyone really, is that we have this belief to keep on going. And when we were learning to crawl when we were tiny, or walk or run or anything, or ride a bike, if those of us have ridden a bike, we failed and failed and failed and got there in the end. And I love what else you said as well, is what you care about won't leave you alone. So if it was, you really wanted to learn to crawl and walk, it didn't leave you alone, and you kept going and you did it. And it's the same with writing a book or anything else.
It can be really intimidating to say, hey, I want to go write a book, or hey, I want to do this and this, and go and look at people who have done it and see, oh my God, this looks so complicated and it's such a long process to get there. But you need to know, this is probably the 100th version of this book this person has made. They have failed over and over again, and they have shared it with their friends and family. So it takes a long time, or it doesn't have to take a long time, but it's a process, and you have to enjoy the process of getting there as well.
Exactly. See the journey as an adventure in itself, isn't it? And maybe there's a book then about writing the book, and it's all wonderful.
Oh my goodness, I have to take a note of that. That sounds great.
Yeah, books could write the book about how they felt while being written. Oh. Sorry, we've got so many ideas.
Yes,
this has been absolutely amazing, Anne. Thank you so much for those amazing questions as well, of everyone that's joined us. I know that Lexi has put in the chat about the next event, which is with Kate Foster on, what is it, on Thursday at 10, so that might be next week, and we hope to see people there again. But for now, I'm going to say have a wonderful day to everyone, and thank you so much again to Anne Alcott. We will see you very soon.
Me and my book again to say goodbye.
And thank you to the book.
And don't forget,
banana.
Okay.
Bye. Bye everyone. Take care.